Do 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 do. Hi. Hi there. Alright, now for today I'm gonna teach you about, the elements and the alignments and also how about emotional states. Now, yeah, about mental thought energy, I mean. Yeah, I know I went over this, but basically every tulpa does have, the bit does, is, based on mental thought energy that is put into them by their creation throughout their psychic energy that builds up due to strong feelings and emotions, as well as imagination that basically gave them form and life and abilities, as well as elements and power. Even ones that some of them can even be formed collectively, even even through things that people might not even see every day. Oh yes, and of course tulpas do also grow stronger by, getting, mental thought energy too. So the more you think, so the more you put into us, the more, we'll get stronger. And stronger and stronger. Anyway, how about I present with you the slides? Alright, just let me move Endomati aside for a little bit. Alright, now this is, whoops. Do I have the wrong one up? Hold on while I get this up. Alright, there we go. Sorry about all that. Alright, here you can see we have the 10 mental thought energy states. As you can see. We have joy, greed, desire, hope, anger, love, fear, ego, sorrow, and disgust. Alrighty. Alright, now you'll see you see where the red arrows point? That's is type effectiveness. That's the emotional effectiveness that'll cause emotional distress whenever you attack whenever a tulpa of a certain mental thought energy type attacks another one that has a different emotional energy type. I mean mental energy type, yeah. Sorry, I keep confusing it because I got it in my head still. Yeah, and you notice it also forms a double pentagram and goes clockwise. Of course, you can kind of see it here. I'll give you a little chance to look it over. All right, now yes. Anyway, I did upgrade it for from the last time where only had like 5 of them, but I decided to make 10 of them. Yeah. Anyway, alright, let's go to the next slide, please. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong way. No, wrong way. Alright, this is, this is the mental energy resistance chart, yeah. As you can see, it goes counterclockwise this time, and, the directions of the arrows are basically reversed. It's like basically the opposite of, the type effectiveness chart. So basically, if a tulpa of a certain mental energy type attack something that's a that is a different mental energy type that resists it, well that's what will happen, yeah. Isn't that just wonderful? All right, now let's get on to the next slide, please. Yeah, basically it is. Basically, when you attack into things that just you're basically ramming into something's mental fortitude, which gives it resistance to it. Alright, now let's go on to the next slide. Whoops, wrong way. Alright, here we go. Sorry about tapping the wrong way. I apologize for that. Whoops, is my wing blocking one of them? Hold on for just a minute. Alright, I'll have to just peek over here. Alright, I hope my wing's not still, in the way. Sorry that you can't see, into my lovely face. Hi there, I'm just peeking out. Oh, whoops. Alright, come on now. I think Endomati got frozen. Yeah, just for a little bit. Alright, now. I'll just peek out right here. Alright, now, whoops. I need to peek out a little bit less. Alright, now, as you can see, we have as you can see there, we have the reality, which is basically, the good and law alignments. And we have fantasy, which is the neutral alignments. And then we have madness, which is the chaos alignments. you know, the evil alignments, yeah. Basically, we have true reality, reality fantasy, reality madness, fantasy reality, true fantasy, fantasy madness, madness reality, and madness fantasy, and true madness. Yeah, it's like, you know, yeah. Just think of like the D&D, you know, alignment chart, just in case. If that makes more sense to you. Yeah, this was kind of inspired by that, as well as, you know, Shin Megami Tensei. You guys know about the alignments in those, obviously. Yeah, alright now, yeah. I, of course, you know, Endemonic am, you know, one of the fantasy types. Probably like fantasy, probably like true fantasy or fantasy reality. Or, you know, or, you know, true reality. After all, that's like the lawful alignment. Or reality fantasy, yeah. Ooh, that's even better, yeah. Neutral good, lawful good. You know. Yeah. Yeah, this kind. Alright now. Anyway, I'll see. Alright now, let's go on to the next. Alright now. Now they got it. Alright now. Why I have it this way is because there's different, you know, different tulpas and how they, you know, are formed from, you know, reality and fantasy and madness. And I kind of, you know, started off by having a system that was sort of similar to, like Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, you know, with them. But I decided, you know, make them into alignment types. Isn't that wonderful? Alright, now, anyway, I'll probably have to, you know, figure out how to form this a little bit later on, you know, different monsters and stuff I come up with. Alright, now, let's go to the final slide. Now, whoops, I'm definitely blocking quite a bit of here. Alright, I'll just move over to this side where I'm like, right here, you can see my head. Alright, now, we have the School of Faith. Alright, now, the School of Faith and School of Knowledge are basically divided into each other. We got the, you know, attributes that are more like the heaven ones, that are more like the, you know, the ones that are more spiritual, and then we have the ones that are more earthly, which came later. Which is like the School of Knowledge ones. Yeah, the School of Faith one did come first, and, you know, the Goddess of Creation did create, you know, the School of Knowledge later. Much to, you know, some of her followers' chagrin. Yeah, we don't talk about the Ascended, though. We hate those guys. Alright, now, in the School of Faith, we have fire, water, wind, earth, nature, electric, metal, ice, darkness, no parents, and we have light. And on the School of Knowledge, we have animal, monster, technology, dream, poison, time, martial, physical, psychic, and spirits. And yes, these are the elements of, you know, that tulpas can be, and yes, they can cross and they can, you know, have they can be one of two of, you know, each. They can be one or two elements each, you know, sort of like Pokemon. And yes, they don't have to necessarily stick with faith and knowledge, since it was always the goddess of creation's, you know, principle to, you know, mix and match it and, you know, create all, and, you know, allow people to basically make all sorts of thought forms. That's just basically how she was when she decided, you know, to share the power of tulpamancy and creation with all of you. Yes, isn't that wonderful? Which means, yes, you can have metal, and time, or, you know, technology and nature. Of course you can have that. Of course you can have like fire, water, of course, and, you know, technology and dream, if you really want to. That is. Isn't that wonderful? That leads to endless combinations for tulpas. Yeah, isn't that great? And yes, I'm basically using. And yes, I'm all right now. This is great. I feel like this is a wonderful system with like endless possibilities, I think. Anyway. How about I go look for somebody? All right, now, oh yes, and oh wait, I should probably also mention, you know, there's martial and magic arts, but, you know, that's a little bit different than the martial elements. It's, you know, martial and magic arts are basically, you know, you got your physical attacks and also your magic attacks. In case you're probably wondering about that. And yes, tulpas of, you know, and yes, like, much like in Pokemon, you know, tulpas of really any elements can learn moves of, you know, other elements that, you know, they don't, No, other elements too, yeah. Even if they don't have it, even if they aren't formed of, even if they're, for example, a fire water one can have, electric move or whatever. Anyway, I'll see you later. Alright, now let's go look for somebody to raid. Oh, whoa, alright, my bit rate is going down because I'm accessing Firefox. Alright, now. Let's go look for somebody to raid. Oh, let's go raid Ryuna. Alright, raid Ryuna _ Let's go raid them real quick, yeah. Alright, whoops. Alright, should I put away the slides? Alright, I'll end this, but into my, beautiful, awesome, alluring body. I wish the person behind the screen was, that, but they're a dude. But I've seen other VTubers do that, so. Alright, Moonbat raid. See you later. Goodbye.